Good morning, and welcome everybody. This is Pips for Breakfast. It is Wednesday, and I am super pumped to be in the markets with every single one of you. So make sure you drop a comment. Let me know where in the world you are at, and if you're in the house with us, don't be shy, guys. Drop those chats. I read almost every single chat, and I will reply to you. First and foremost, welcome to Daniel. Welcome to Hein. This is the place to be, and I'm seeing some really amazing opportunities we're going to be able to take advantage of together today and over the course of the day. It's going to be something absolutely amazing. All right, so guys, without further ado, I think what I want to do straight ahead is I want to jump into the markets. We're going to jump into some of the fundamentals, and we're going to keep it nice and quick and tidy this morning so that you guys can take opportunity of some of the trades I'm going to be showing you in the next couple minutes. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump right in and have a look at what it is that I'm seeing today. Okay, so yesterday we obviously focused a lot of our energy on the European data. Today is the pounds data as well as some US data in the afternoon. So Wednesday we had a fairly quiet morning in terms of Australian dollar PMI, not too much to say there, but we have a situation where we have a little bit of a perfect storm brewing that we can take advantage of. So the GDP nationwide is essentially one of the biggest, I would say, housing brokers in the US. Their home purchases index is essentially a decent gauge in terms of what's happening in the market from the consumer point of view, in terms of spending, in terms of that data point, how much is being spent. And so the HPI data release was scheduled for 8 and it failed to release, and I can see they've rescheduled it for 9 o'clock, which works perfectly for us. Now, in combination with this HPI, we then also have the PMI, Purchaser Manager Index, coming out at 11:30. Now, what does this mean? This means for our Euro GBP positions, if you're still in those positions, we're kind of floating at entry right now. The performance has been fairly weak towards the downside. Markets have really been floating within that range, that 10 to 15 pip range. And should we get good performance, good numbers out of the pound data today, obviously that would force Euro GBP downside. Should we get positive data, it would kill our sell positions, and we would then wait for a later stage to look for a sell on that. But again, should we get better than expected data, this would then be a perfect storm for our sell positions on Euro GBP, and I'll show you the market structure as well as we get into it. Moving on as well, we also have some unemployment rates data for the euro, so this in combination would obviously serve quite well. And in the balance of the afternoon, we obviously have mostly dollar data that we will obviously be paying attention to. So ADP non-farm, this is a look into what we could end up seeing on Friday as a total tally. So there's an expectation for 400,000 new jobs that have been made versus the 568 from last month. So anything better than that, anything more than that, will be hugely positive for the dollar. And then we obviously have PMIs, services, as well as market composites. So these are all going to be part and parcel of the dollar. We're going to be trading this afternoon, and then much later on at 4 o'clock, we then have ISM non-manufacturing PMI. And this basically works as a percentage. Anything greater than 62% is going to be served as a bullish or positive for the dollar. Anything below that, but well below that, will be as a negative. Now, let's get into the markets and what it is that we are looking at, and I'm pretty excited to show you guys all this. We're going to be seeing some pretty crazy things in the market. So as we discussed yesterday, this is the dollar index. We were sitting right at this 88.2 FIB fan, and I explained to you that this would be a great opportunity to expect some dollar strength coming in across the day. And as we can see, as a result of yesterday, we really did get that dollar strength sort of rocketing off of that 88.2 FIB fan, keeping within the market structure that I mapped out. So we've received a stronger dollar, but where we are sitting right now seems to be that the dollar is really struggling. This is a 30-minute time frame. The dollar is really struggling to make gains at this level over here. So considering that we are obviously within a channel and we're able to range in top side, downside, we obviously want to look at what US data we get, whether that'll fuel a rally towards the top end of this channel or whether we are going to correct towards the downside. And like I said, the big item we're waiting for here is non-farm payrolls on Friday. So as I explained yesterday, markets can start to get thin towards Thursday and specifically Friday as the market anticipates what sort of US data we're going to get. Now, looking at Euro GBP, where we were yesterday, I've closed out my Euro GBP position for the reason being we got a little bit of an impulse towards the top side where we were yesterday. We got about a 15 pip impulse towards the top side. I sold again yesterday at that level, a little bit higher up there, but markets didn't really perform all too well. So I've closed that position out, and we can see we've got a flat sort of support here that we obviously need to break. So a strong pound position would then give us that opportunity to short this towards the downside. There's not too much at stake here. We're looking at about 20 odd pips, not massive, but from a scalping perspective this can be taken advantage of. Now, I'm not too interested in Euro GBP for today, just from a perspective that there isn't too many pips here, and I'd be much more interested in trading this particular trend for a buy and looking for entries about the 0.85 I think flats, no, 0.848 level flat. This is where I'd be interested in going long and obviously sticking with the trend. The trend is our friend. However, if we have a look at VIX 75, this is where we were yesterday in VIX 75, and I explained that I would much rather be looking for short positions on VIX 75 as opposed to any long positions. And VIX 75 is now broken out towards the downside. Now I want you just to see the trend, right? We start to trend, and then there's an impulse towards the downside with a massive then correction towards the top side. Now remember, we are still in a bearish market, right? So the trend is our friend. We are looking for, short positions, and that is what it is. But I also explained yesterday that the ideal entry is sitting right here at that 61.8, coinciding with that 88.2 fib fan, which is where we're getting very, very close to. Now, in addition to that, I just want to show you guys this. If we look at this impulse towards the downside, and we look at the impulse that we received previously towards the downside, they very clearly broke market structure, ranged for a little bit. This is up to about an hour or two, and then took off. Now, in the situation we saw over this last break, which happened on the 26th of last month, we started the breakout on US market open. So US market open, we then got that massive impulse towards the top side, and this move, the spike towards the downside, was dead. So I'm very interested to see today, are we able to make it any further lower? And if so, will we then, this is where I'd be looking for buy opportunities on VIX 75. And this is going to be at the 269,000, I would say 270,000 flat mark. So 270,000 is obviously our ideal entry. We don't want to be too greedy. We obviously want to catch it on that 61.8, but there's chances that it might not get there, as well as the spread opportunity. So this is something I'm watching out very, very carefully for. Again, looking for that US market open, if that will fuel VIX 75 to make that next impulse towards the top side. And this is going to be a massive, massive trade. Should we catch this at the 61.8 or even earlier, this has the potential to run a couple thousand pips in profit towards the top side. So this could be one of the biggest trades, I think, of this month of November. Should we be able to catch that retracement, it'll give us a really good indication of where markets are going. Now, I don't see any other trends here that are able to give us a diagonal from a buy perspective. If we have a look here, this is certainly not going to work out. However, should we take it from that level over there and we look at that diagonal, this will coincide with what we're seeing from a 61.8% buy here from a Fibonacci golden retracement, and this will then coincide with our diagonal 88.2 long buy. So this is something you have to watch out for, guys. This is going to be a very, very big one. Remember, on VIX 75, for every 0.01 lot or volume that you end up taking, 0.01 equals around about 300 odd rand, which is about $20 in terms of margin requirements. Okay. But again, has opportunity to do some pretty big numbers in terms of the thousands of pips range towards the top side. So this is something I would then set up some of your alerts at that 270,000 flat mark. So 270,000 is where I see some big opportunities right there. Now, moving on to Nasdaq has been a massive performer over the last 30-minute time frame. We can see we've got a solid trend line in terms of where we can buy. Now, should Nasdaq pull back down, and you can just monitor and map this out on a 30-minute time frame, this would then signal that buy opportunity wherever that may end up being in terms of this latest bull run since the earnings report started late last week, as well as in the course of this week. And this is for quarter 3 for all the US tech entities, right? So we've been in a massive rally, and should we get a little bit of a pull down, which we are seeing, markets are trading fairly flat at this moment, and after a flat market we do see a little bit of a pullback on Nasdaq. So we want to see that pullback and then an entry point, and ideally that entry point is going to probably be at that 15,870, 15,880 mark is where I foresee potential opportunities for a buy. So I'm setting up some alerts here, and should we hit those marks, I will send this opportunity directly through to the signals group that you guys get it directly within the Telegram channel and delivered directly through to you. In terms of gold, this is where we were yesterday. I explained that on a 15-minute time frame, that if we break market structure, we're hitting resistance, that this would signal a sell opportunity that we discussed live yesterday. So as if anybody caught this, then well done to you. Gold pulled down 130 plus pips towards the downside yesterday, but I see a bigger opportunity this morning. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, I want to show you guys the bigger market structure. I'm just going to go to a 4-hour and go one in. So on a 4-hour time frame, we've observed that gold tends to pull back down past this range to this purple level that I've drawn out here. Now, we spiked down to that on the 29th last month, and I foresee there could be a massive opportunity for us to do the same spike again. And for this reason, I am creating a pending order. This is a buy limit at the 776.60 mark. So 1776.60 is where I'm setting up a pending order, and I'm going to send this level with my stop loss and TP directly through to the signals group. Jason will generate this trade now, and we will send this through. Now, this could be activated on the US market open, and essentially what we're looking for is we're looking for a little bit of a continuation. We made a little bit of a spike down. Not enough though to enter our area, that 776 mark, but we can also see on a closer time frame we have a very solid structure. Now, I've got 2 resistance levels here. I've got one diagonal that pretty much takes from the point we dipped yesterday at 12 o'clock directly across, showing us that we need to breach that for a bull move. But I've also got another diagonal which starts from about 7:20 yesterday afternoon to where we are now, that's really proving to hold down the price of gold. Now, only on a break of that price or a push down to our pending order is where I would enter for a long position on gold. Now, what does this imply? A long position on gold would imply that we are looking for some sort of dollar weakness or uncertainty. Now, in terms of what the market is busy speaking about, there's obviously the Fed's decision that will be coming out today, and that Fed decision is in terms of where is the Fed finding itself in terms of these massive cash injections that it's busy putting in. So the tapering that the market's busy speaking about is this $120 billion that the Fed is injecting into mortgage-backed securities and treasuries every single month. The Fed is essentially buying $120 billion, injecting that into the US economy as part of the ongoing stimulus package. This tapering discussion is essentially talking about how they start to reduce that buying program. Now, again, I don't think it's going to be happening in December. The last big meeting said that it would start to happen in the course of next year, and they have a bunch of tools at their disposal that they would not be shy of deploying in order to reduce some of this tapering, as well as inject more money into the US economy. But that date or that report that has been ongoing for the last 2 days is due for today. So any sort of shock factor here would obviously be negative for the dollar, as well as any sort of data in terms of the employment rates. Remember, there was that 556, if I'm not mistaken, from last month, and there's the 568, and there's the expectation for only 400,000 new jobs to be created. If there is less than that number, that could be quite a big number, and that could obviously fuel a gold rally, being gold being a safe haven currency that obviously people take advantage of. So that's gold, and that's that setup, and I'm going to send that into masters and signals with my exact levels and TPs. If you're not part of the signals group, obviously follow the 5 steps there. Signals group is kicking off officially today. We're going to start to pump through all of our trades. Not all of them are obviously reserved for masters, but we're going to start to pump through some really good positions into the signals group, and that's absolutely free to you. Just got to follow the 5 steps that are obviously involved over there. Moving on to USD ZAR. USD ZAR, obviously I've revealed its structure from yesterday. It started off with a little bit of an impulse towards the downside, and then we see that trigger towards the upside was a little bit late, and we only then got that trigger towards the upside. Let's have a look here. We only got that trigger towards the upside really at about 10 o'clock, right? So 10 o'clock we started to see that impulse, which was not really tradable. From that perspective, we did have some sort of diagonal market structure that gave away what was going to end up happening. I didn't pay too much attention to that. I'm really looking forward to today in the sense that we now have some really good market structure. In addition to that, we also have a decent level of support, a long-term support all the way from the 27th that I'm expecting USD ZAR to come down and test not only, and this is on a 15-minute time frame, not only the support from a diagonal perspective, left to right, high to low, but also the diagonal from low to high, left to right. And this is where I'm anticipating and set up some of my alerts that should we bounce off of this, we could then see USD ZAR make a nice impulse at least to the 15 Rand 50 mark. And from a scalp perspective, this means some pretty big opportunities. So if I was you guys, I would monitor this on a potentially about a 5-minute time frame. Map out this market structure, this long-term support that we have here, and then you'd obviously be able to take advantage of this particular move. Now, if I show you my trade history on USD ZAR, obviously I've been super busy on USD ZAR, taking a ton of scalp positions. As soon as we have a tidy little market structure, something like that, that is something that I absolutely jump into and take advantage of. And you can see how crazy it looks like. As soon as we have any sort of market structure, I'm selling and buying all of these impulses as soon as we have any sort of market structure, which, to be honest with you, has been the thing that I've been most enjoying about trading lately, is scalping the price of USD ZAR as we get these tidy little market structures all over the place. I've been just having an absolute ball on that. So as we see this new structure develop that we're seeing right now, this would then obviously signal an opportunity to buy and sell along the structure. But obviously, being the trend being our friend, the long-term opportunities, or at least good scalp opportunities, are represented from a buy perspective a little bit lower down at the 1536 range. I would expect, I'd like to see a nice strong impulse down into that range, and then start to look for some of those buy opportunities, which is where my eye is going to be focused on for today. All right. So big news items to obviously look out for if you're not in the signals group and you're not a master student, would be, we are expecting at 9 o'clock this GDP data. Should we get strong data there, the Euro GBP trade is definitely on. In order to obviously map out and make sure that Euro GBP trade is going to be in your favor, you obviously want to make sure that we break this support, which we are very clearly heading towards. We can see that on a 15-minute time frame, we've got a really strong diagonal force here that is certainly squeezing the price of Euro GBP towards the downside. We are in a little bit of a symmetric triangle formation. We're making lower highs and higher lows, but ultimately a break in this price right here is what we would be waiting for, and that would trigger that sell. And all we need for that, it's a very delicate situation, is strong housing purchaser index data, as well as again at 11:30 strong PMI and services PMI, composite and services. That will be enough to force in that opportunity, as well as some decent unemployment data from the euro, right? The unemployment rate at the moment sitting at 7.5. There is an expectation for a 7.4, so there's certainly an expectation by economists for the European unemployment rate to lower, which is good for the euro, which again supports our position in terms of a euro GBP short position, right? We had a little bit of a mixed bag yesterday in terms of that euro GBP situation, but again, should we get a worse than expected number here, the euro is going to buy less and less of the pound, and we're going to see that move towards the downside. So should we see an unemployment rate of 7.5, 7.6, as well as strong pound data, that would support our euro GBP short position towards the downside. Again, and just to summarize, the big moves that I'm looking for today is definitely going to be VIX 75. VIX 75 has the opportunity to meet that 61.8 low, as well as gold in terms of a buy limit on the support level. Again, and just to give you guys a little bit of figures here, just so you can quantify what does this mean for your trading. And again, risk management is everything. The lot size that you enter, obviously that's part of my academy. Risk management, I would really recommend you watch this a couple times over. I think it's chapter part 6 or part 5, I'm not 100% sure, of my syllabus. But in essence, if we look at this, we have about a 284 pip top side opportunity per position, and we are going to be looking at about a 60 point stop loss or 60 pip stop loss. So we have quite a decent risk to reward ratio here, a greater than 1 to 4. This is probably bordering on a 1 to 4.5, 1 to 4.3. So really great risk reward opportunity here. So 280 pips at 0.01 would represent about $28 per trade. So even at a 0.01, if you had 3 positions there, you are looking at the region of about let's see, about 80 odd dollars on a $100 account. So gold has the opportunity to pretty much double your account, even at the smallest potential trade opportunity at 0.01 at 3 positions. But just please bear in mind as well, at 60 pips you're risking about $6, which is 6% of your account. So this isn't really meant for $100 accounts. If you're entering 3 positions at $6 a trade, you're looking at risking about 18% of your account, which falls way higher than the 3 to 5 max percent that you should be obviously risking here. So again, all risk management needs to be observed. In terms of VIX, VIX has a massive opportunity here to run top side. I'll quickly do a pending order just to let us have a look here what we're looking at. I'm going to use a 0.10 for this, and I'm going to use a buy limit as well. Price, we said we're looking at that 270 flat mark. Let's just see here, we've got enough zeros. 270 flat mark. I won't know what the stop loss is yet. I've obviously got to do my risk management, but I'm going to look for a 267 flat. There we go. And our TP, we know we can obviously hit the top of this channel, if not even higher. So let's just work on a 280 stop here. Okay, so at a 0.10 stop loss here, we are looking at 1,000 pips towards the top side of this channel, which at a 0.10 or 0.1 volume or lot size, we are looking at about 15,000 Rand to the top side of this channel. And obviously, if we consider the bigger picture, that not only could we make it to the top side of this channel, but it could be a greater impulse towards the top side, then this obviously can represent at 0.10 well over 50,000 Rand, right? So we can do 2, 3, 4,000 pips towards the top side, while we are looking at about on a 0.10, we are looking at around about a 4,600 Rand stop loss here, which would be plus minus what we need to look at. Anything below that, it means we're going to push down to 78.6, even that 88.2, and then this trade would be dead, right? We don't want to risk 1,000 pips, you know, to get this kind of position here. So we are going to be looking at about 200 pips for a stop loss and 1,000 pips for the first TP, and then 2,000-3,000 pips for the later TP. So again, this is why I trade these kind of items long term as investment positions, because you don't need to sit behind your PC 24/7. They're nice long runners, being gold, being VIX, and then I utilize ZAR to just scratch the itch in terms of getting in those trades. I like to put in quite a few positions and obviously trade bigger lot sizes on USD ZAR, and I absolutely enjoy it. So that's USD ZAR I use for scalping. The bigger opportunities I use for the bigger positions. Again, so I think we've covered all the bases for this morning. There's quite a few exciting opportunities I don't want you guys to miss. Obviously pay attention to that, pay attention to what's happening in the markets, and as always, trading safe and risk management and psychology is absolutely everything. I see traders who do amazing work, amazing things, but their psychology and the risk management cause them to do silly things. And you guys know as traders, when you're going wrong, when you go way too big, or you're holding a loss for too long, or you start to adjust your stop loss, if you're wrong, you're wrong. Be wrong quick, be right over a long period of time. That's what it comes down to, and that's what it is all about. Okay, if you're watching for the very first time and you are not part of our Telegram channel and you haven't completed your studies, guys, go ahead and watch the Quantum Growth Market series. It is not going to be free forever, and even if you've downloaded the content, if at any point in time I end up making that content private, you will not have access to that content. So the content is not going to be free forever. You want to make sure that you get as much value out of that content as humanly possible. I'm going to be making some announcements in the course of November as well as December for the plans I have for 2022, and it's not necessarily 100% certain that this content is going to remain free. So obviously take advantage of it as best you can. Go ahead and do yourself a favor and share this YouTube series, not this particular live broadcast, but the Quantum Growth Markets link. You can share with as many people as you want. Get this out to as many people as you want while it's still free, that people can take advantage of this and see for themselves, are they cut out for the financial markets? That's what it's all about. Empower yourself, that you cannot be scammed, that you can learn a skill for yourself for forever. Okay, beautiful. So these are the trade opportunities we're looking at. Jason's going to send out the pinning levels, pinning orders into the masters, into the signals, and this afternoon I will be trading live with all of you as we get that US data. Remember, the US, the Wednesday dollars for lunch session is free, so make sure you set your alarms, make sure you're with us this afternoon at 2:15. And for everybody else, masters as well as people within the signals group, I will be trading NFP live with you guys on Friday. That's going to be explosive. It's going to be massive. It's going to be a powerful way to end off the trading week. So make sure you set your alarms for that. We're going to be trading NFP at 2:30 on Friday, GMT +2. Okay, beautiful. Guys, listen, have yourselves an amazing day. Trade safe as always. We're going to be sending trade opportunities and structures all the time into the Masters and Signals group. Even items I have not discussed here, you'll see the Signals group is going to pick up in a massive way. We're going to be pumping through trades, giving you reports, data, updates on those positions. So make sure you are part of the Signals group. Follow the 5 steps in the Telegram channel, and that'll give you everything you need in order to get in. Open up your Trade 245 live account, watch the Quantum Growth Market series, get that account funded, send us proof of your account in terms of your MT4, MT5 account number, and then you are good to go. All the steps, all the links are within that message pinned in the DVDM Markets group. Make sure you are part of it more than anything else. Okay, beautiful. This afternoon at 2:30 I'll be welcoming all the masters that have signed up in the past month into the DVDM Markets Masters group, so you guys can get to see who are the new faces, who are going to be the new leaders within this particular space over the coming months, as well as over 2022. I've got some very exciting plans for my masters to take over and to lead in very big ways. So we're going to be seeing all these new people very shortly, so make sure you do not miss out this afternoon, and make sure sure you do not miss out on the opportunities. Like I said, 9 a.m. this morning, which is in about 15 minutes. Look for that home PMI or HMI, whatever it's called. And then again at 11 o'clock, I believe, will be the PMI as well for the pound. And then those interest rates in the euro are definitely going to be a Euro GBP swing type position. As with everything else I've already discussed, you guys can go map it out, take advantage of that. And as always, trade safe, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Shalom.